Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Sorry for the camera quality again. I thought I fixed it, and it still looks cloudy, so we're gonna keep messing around with it a little bit. But sorry, guys, I tried. But outside of that, this is the last episode in this vehicle. This is like the end of an era here. Like, can you believe it? That is kind of crazy. Again, like, oh, that, whoa, whoa. Okay, I don't know. Like, what? I think it's just the lighting and the environment where I'm at because I did it in my room, and I was messing around with the settings, and it didn't look as bad as it does right now. I promise you that. So I'm thinking like once we get into the dorm room and all of that, it'll probably look a little better. Hopefully, maybe we'll see. If not, I'll probably just buy a new webcam. Um, but with that being said, hopefully all you guys are doing well. This is the last episode until maybe Thursday. Yeah, probably Thursday, of course, because I will be moving to Colorado over the next 3 days. I'll be driving there. So, hell yeah, so excited for that. Woohoo, so excited for driving. Yay. But, hopefully all you guys are doing well. Hopefully all you guys do well over the next 3 days. We'll catch up when we get there. But with that being said, sorry for the yapping. Let's get into the news from today. Moving into the Trump administration segments, that's a majority of the topics we have today. We only have two segments, sorry, but we do have a lot of topics, so let's get into it. The first one being, we have hit the highest tariff rate in this country since the Great Depression. After delays and extensions of Trump's tariffs have basically taken effect as of Thursday at midnight, most of the imports will now face a baseline 10% tariff along with a majority overall average tariff of 17%, which is the biggest since 1935 and, of course, the Great Depression. A majority of products on store shelves will be hit along with gas and oil imports and essentially really just everything else. Trump celebrated this on Truth Social by saying, "It's midnight. Billions of dollars of tariffs are now flowing into the United States of America." Trump is the only person in this entire country at this point who still doesn't know how a tariff works, which sucks ass. Granted, I'm sure, we all know at this point it's going to suck. But, this genuinely, like, tariffs are bullshit. They really are. Overall, like, the cost of living in this country is going to rise, maybe even skyrocket. And that is stupid. Genuinely, like it already costs way too much to live in this country. We don't need it going any higher. And it sucks that this happens like right when I become an adult. But I guess it was bound to happen when someone became an adult. So hopefully we can, rebuild after this is all over. Moving on, the Department of Homeland Security and Kristi Noem have delayed more than $100 million in disaster relief. The Department of Homeland Security is delaying the release of over $100 million in pre-approved disaster recovery funds for North Carolina. The funds were approved by FEMA, which has historically taken years to distribute funds, but experts say the money should be released by now. On July 22nd, State Governor Josh Stein sent a letter to Kristi Noem urging her to release the disaster funds, but it still hasn't happened. Communities across the state are struggling after the hurricanes and floods, yet seemingly they have been abandoned by the U.S. government. If you're ever looking for more proof that Trump doesn't give a shit about the American people, here it is. Along with delaying disaster relief for, California, Texas, and I'm sure many other states in the future, this administration could not give two shits about you, which is disgusting and shouldn't be the case. The president should be working for you just as all politicians should be working for you. And the fact that that isn't the case in, the current American society is stupid. Genuinely it is. And we need to make a change and vote for people who are actually going to work for us, because if we don't, we're never going to make any progress in this society. In other news, Trump is considering reclassifying weed as a less dangerous drug. Trump is considering reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug, according to the Wall Street Journal, at a 1 million a plate fundraiser in New Jersey. Trump told attendees that he was interested in making the change. Of course, the Biden administration did propose making weed a Schedule 3 drug rather than Schedule 1, but it didn't go through. The change would make it easier to buy and sell pot, along with making it more profitable as an industry. One of the guests at this dinner was Kim Rivers, chief executive of Truvele, which is one of the largest dope companies in the country, who has encouraged Trump to pursue this change and expand research into weed. Is this a distraction to earn some brownie points from, majority of the American people? Yes. Should weed be legal and also be as available as alcohol? Um, Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. And the people who are in jail because of weed should be freed. Let's be real. Cannabis doesn't lead to any deaths within this country, while alcohol leads to 3 million worldwide. Like, if you just smoke some weed on your couch and, chill out, maybe if you like did a little bit of driving home, you'd probably be fine. But like if you're gonna drink, you probably shouldn't be going anywhere. It really is like common sense, really. But also like there's kidney problems and liver problems, and sure, weed does have the chances of lung cancer, but like all smoking does. If you just chill out on your couch and smoke a joint, like you're not gonna just risk the risk just you know um like weed should be legal. Alcohol kills so many people. Weed doesn't. Like the majority of generation Z is choosing weed over alcohol, and a majority of people in US society now are choosing weed over alcohol. I mean, the fact that it isn't like culturally acceptable as alcohol is stupid in my opinion. Genuinely, I think weed should absolutely be legal, and it should be easier to get. In other news, Trump 2028 merch is all over the White House. Shortly after saying he wouldn't run for a third term, Trump showed off a section dedicated to merch for the 2028 election. In a meeting with the Azerbaijan dictator, Trump showed off the merch in the section and discussed Trump unlawfully going for a third term. Trump said, "Everybody wants me to run," before inviting the press to take free merch from the shelf. I saw this coming a mile away. Whether Trump said he was going to run or not, he probably is going to keep spouting this same bullshit. A whole section is kind of crazy, though. If you haven't seen the picture, it is literally just a shelf filled with Trump 2028 merch. Also, I feel like every time, he stands by merch, with the press around, he just offers it to them for free. I don't know if that's just him trying to be nice or if it's just him trying to get people to buy merch or whatever. But it feels weird. It really does. It feels dystopian seeing a president trying so hard to sell merchandise. That it just puts a bad feeling in my gut to see a president do that. And what do you expect? Trump is like a social media star. Sure, he's going to be selling merchandise, but I think these two Trump terms prove that rich and famous people probably shouldn't be in politics, especially if that wasn't their goal in the first place. Because I know it's kind of hypocritical for me to say that content and internet stars shouldn't be like in politics, especially like how I'm building my base. But if that's not your goal in the first place, you probably shouldn't be there. In other news, Pete Hegseth posted a video saying women shouldn't be allowed to vote. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has posted a video in support of a Christian nationalist pastor who believes women shouldn't vote. The video was of Doug Wilson, a pastor in Idaho, who said in the interview, "Women are a kind of people that people come out of. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls." And the repost of the interview, Hegseth said, all of Christ for all of life. Hegseth is reportedly involved with the church founded by Wilson and is a big fan of his writings and teachings. Wilson's church also goes on to promote followers to vote as a household, with the husband of the family casting the main vote, not the wife at all. This is MAGA. I mean, that is like to a T pretty much what it is. A majority of these MAGA husbands already decide their wife's vote for them. And it's fucking disgusting. Genuinely, it is. I'm sure a majority think women in MAGA, or a majority in MAGA, think women shouldn't vote. And that's not okay at all. Genuinely, it's not. Everyone should have the right to vote. We're all people. We all make our own decisions. We all make our own choices. The fact that it is 2025 and we still have to deal with evangelicalism bullshit attempting to take away rights from people around the country, it's stupid. Genuinely, we've had to deal with evangelicalism in this country for over 60 years now, maybe even longer. And at this point, it's really just become a tool for capitalism, to not only make more money, but to make these people within the churches richer. And I am all for religion. I've said multiple times, people should believe in what they want to believe. If it brings them security in their life, absolutely go and do that. It's not for me, but absolutely, if that brings you security. I think the problem with Christianity in this country today, and sure, it might not be all churches, but a majority of these big churches are just evangelicalism shit posts areas. Like it really is a problem, and it has infected not only our politics so much, which is gross, but it has infected our society so much, and it is the reason why we deal with so many things like racism, homophobia, and all those things. And it's a problem that actively needs to be changed. I know it would be probably very hard to root out evangelicalism in our society with how far it's brought in there, but people need to learn. Like your church, yeah, sure, maybe you're learning a little bit, but not all these churches have what's best for you in mind. A lot of them just want to profit off of you. I just zoomed all the way into my screen. In other news, Trump is moving closer to taking over Washington, D.C. In a post on True Social, Trump has warned the D.C. area of him taking it over, saying, "No more Mr. Nice Guy." In his post, he wrote, "We're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital. Criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong. It's going to happen very fast. Just like the border, we went from millions pouring in to zero in the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no more Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. Thank you for your attention to this matter." This is not okay, and proof why Washington, D.C. should be a state. I've said this for a long time. If it was a state, it would have way more protections from things like these, especially, the attacks from the Trump administration. I mean, these are illegal, yeah, but like, if it was a state, they would have way more protections. That is for sure. Not to mention all the people who live there would actually get a fucking voice for once. Like, so many people live there and just get no voice. It's genuinely dumb. It really is. Both Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. should be states. It is genuinely so messed up that they aren't. Those are some of the biggest territories in our entire empire, essentially, and they don't have states' rights. I mean, what is that? That's stupid. Really, it is. It really is. Both of those areas should be states. They deserve representation, and we should give it to them. What happened to, no taxation without representation? I'm pretty sure we're taxing both of these areas and not giving them any representation. In other news, Trump fired the IRS chief for refusing to share immigration data. Before removing him from his job at the IRS, Billy Long clashed with the White House over giving tax data to ICE, so they can use it to locate immigrants. Long's dismissal came 2 months after he was hired, making him the briefest commissioner in the IRS's history. The White House wants to use IRS data to track down immigrants, and they continue to push to do so. Donald Trump really is the type of guy to fire someone for actually doing their fucking job. Granted, this guy still supports Trump, so, I mean, fuck that guy, but he was like one of the very few people to actually say no and not be a yes man. It really does kind of suck, to be honest. We need less yes men in this administration, and we need more people to actually take a stand and say no. Of course, he's going to, go be the ambassador to Iceland now, which is interesting, whatever. But like, it's so stupid that we just have to cut down on all the people who are actually able to do their job and say no. Like, come on, bro. Is it shocking? No, but it's stupid. Like everything, it is always stupid. In other news, Trump has moved Bush's and Obama's portraits away from public eye in the White House. Trump has moved both portraits of his predecessors, Obama and George Bush, into a stairwell. Trump ordered his team to put Obama's portrait at the top of the grand staircase along with Bush's, where they would be out of public eye. Sources say Trump is involved with everything when it comes to the aesthetic of the White House, and this most definitely was his decision. Of course, Joe Biden's portrait is yet to be completed, but I'm sure we'll see the same treatment for him as well. This doesn't surprise me in the slightest. It does suck that the public won't be able to see these portraits, but I'm sure the White House feels a little trashy these days anyways. I almost kind of want to go to the White House just to see what Trump has done to it. But I think I'll stay away from that one. I don't know if I want to spend any time in the same building as that man. That's for sure. In other news, for the final Trump topic tonight, Trump has hired a January 6th defendant who yelled to kill law enforcement. A video has surfaced of one of the advisors working at the Justice Department hired by Trump shouting at rioters to kill law enforcement and calling them a Gestapo. The footage published by NPR came from a police body cam as NPR joined CBS and other news organizations in suing for thousands of hours of footage and the court exhibits from the Capitol attacks. Who is this guy? His name is Jared Wise, who eventually did face 6 charges in which he pleaded not guilty to all of them. Last month, he was hired at the Department of Justice and a spokesperson for the Department of Justice called him a valued member of the team, and they appreciate all of his contributions to the team. What the actual fuck? Genuinely, like, this is crazy and alarming. It is always something with this administration, and we all know that at some point. But how do people like this make it into the government? Day after day, month after month, I say this, but like, I don't understand how people so terrible are able to make it into our government. It is genuinely amazing to me that so many people who are god awful are able to work in our government. It is crazy. It is genuinely not only alarming, but like baffling that these people are so terrible and able to make it so far within politics. It is fucking stupid. Like, it needs to be harder to become a politician in this country. And the fact that it isn't is crazy. Genuinely, it is so crazy. Moving on into our other news segment today. This one's, shorter as it is, but let's get into it. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, says Trump is cheating out Americans. Illinois' Governor J.B. Pritzker called out Trump as a cheater and called Greg Abbott a joke for trying to redistrict his state. Pritzker said he is one who is attempting a mid-decade here, a tie. When frankly all of us are concerned about the future of democracy. He is literally helping whittle it away and licking the boots of his leader, Donald Trump. He also defended his state from gerrymandering claims, saying Trump won 40% of the state vote. He went on to say, "This is cheating. Donald Trump is a cheater. He cheats on wives, he cheats at golf, and now he's trying to cheat the American people out of their votes." He's right. I mean, Trump is going to cheat millions of Americans out of their voice and out of their vote, which shouldn't be allowed. Lawmakers need to fight to prevent this and prevent this redistricting. The people must keep their votes and they must keep their voices. Not only is it important that we continue to make our voices heard, but it is important that we continue to have those rights that we have had for, such a long time. So don't forget to vote when midterms come around. Vote blue, whatever, you can for your area. Just make sure that we take a stand against this administration and the tyranny. It is bullshit, and I know we're all tired of it. So let's take a stand and get it to stop. In other news, the Gifford fire has become a mega fire. A massive Southern California wildfire has now reached mega fire status after becoming the largest state inferno. The fire was started along Highway 166 a week ago and has burned 104,000 acres, along with only being 21% contained as of Saturday. The National Weather Service has also warned the wildfire risk could worsen as inland temps soar above 100 degrees. Santa Barbara Fire Department Captain Scott Safechuck told AP, "We have hot weather and we have low relative humidity, so we expect extreme fire behavior." Fire season is here and it's moving fast. Sadly, as always, we're, going to see a lot of fires, especially in California. Hopefully anyone affected is able to recover from this because, of course, nobody wants to have their house burned down. That sucks ass, especially when you lose all your stuff. So, good luck to everyone involved, especially the firefighters who are working to contain these fires. Hopefully they are able to, do so at not only a safe pace, but a fast one. In other news, we have, a great story, as one Texas Democrat stayed behind while the rest left. Texas State Representative Risha Pena Raymond from South Texas was the only Democrat who didn't flee with his colleagues. Why, you may ask? Raymond spent the past week talking to any Republicans who would listen to him, making attempts to avert a full shutdown. But this wasn't his first rodeo, as in 2003, Republicans tried to do the same. Raymond was on the committee at the time and became a huge voice of opposition for it. He said, "This time stakes are higher and we need to fight back." This is great, and I really hope that he can turn some heads. We need people to realize why redistricting is bad and why it should be stopped. I mean, bottom line, stopping these Texas Republicans is going to be hard, very hard. It is going to be a challenge, but we need people across the board to do work and, make a stand and take that stand. So good luck to Raymond. I believe in you, and I hope everyone else does as well. I think you got that. And our final topic for tonight, Zelensky has rejected giving up any land at all. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has rejected any deal that would give land to Russia. Zelensky said in a Telegram post, "The answer to Ukraine's territorial question is already in the constitution of Ukraine. No one will and no one can deviate from it. Ukrainians will not give their land to the occupier." This came after Trump, of course, announced the meeting with Putin in Alaska. This is good. Ukraine should not have to give up any land. It's true. And their constitution, after the fall of the Soviet Union, guarantees their territory and sovereignty. They shouldn't have to give up that land because Trump says so. I mean, Russia has overall failed to win this conflict. In no way do they deserve any forms of spoils at all. It genuinely, they don't deserve anything. I don't understand, why people think they do. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, sorry for the terrible quality. I'm thinking in the dorm room it'll change. It'll get a little bit better. I didn't expect this camera to be so bad. Genuinely, this is like a very good computer. I did not expect the camera out of all things to be horrible. There is a built-in camera blocker. So I'm thinking maybe like it smudges the camera when I accidentally flip it closed. But we'll figure it out. All comes down to necessary. I will just buy a new webcam. Sorry about this, guys. I know the past 2 episodes have been, terrible video quality, but hopefully there's less pauses. I guess this computer does stand through the heat a lot better, which is very nice. So it has its pluses and it has its downs, but we'll figure it out. We always do. But, hopefully you guys all enjoyed. I will see you guys all in a few days. Also, thank you all to everyone who has subscribed on the YouTube. You guys are legends. We went from 100 or 240 to 260 based off of one video. That is super cool. Thank you guys so much. You guys are goated for that. And if you're new here, subscribe as well. I know the video quality isn't the greatest, but it would mean the world to me. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, and I would love to hit that before the end of the year if we could. But yeah, with that being said, thank you all for watching. Not too much else for me to say. So have a good one, guys. Later.